Very good morning, everyone. How are you all? Everyone fine? Super. Last day was super. Today morning was super. So every day will be super. And we are super say upper. Correct? Now, the last day we completed AS2, valuation of inventory. Completed. Have you done all the questions? Have you tried all the questions? Any doubt? No doubt. Chalo, that question I will take. Apart from that question, no doubt. Doubt. Batao. Doubt. So everyone open. What you open? What to open? अरे बोलो ना. So everyone open question bank AS2. Question number 19. So come to question number 19 fast. 19. In this question doubt will come. If you will do doubt to pakka will come. Means you have not done. Yes, I know. Those who will do, doubt will come. Those who will not do, doubt how will come? If you are saying no doubt, it means you have not done. Simple na? So it means if you say what? Lie, I can understand that you are lying. So question 19, everyone. Believe me, same question I take in CA final. And what is your doubt now? Same doubt will come to what CA final student. It means you both are same. Difference is what? Only you need to write exam. They have written exam. This is the difference. There is no difference as per understanding. Because I teach CA inter also. I teach CA final also. Foundation is totally different. Foundation when you write, then you are not matured enough to understand what is the requirement of ICI. Now once you pass CA foundation, you know what is the requirement. You know the level of chartered accountancy. Correct? Yes, sir. So let me come to that doubt. I know what is your doubt. Doubt I will say. It means I know your emotions. Correct. If I know your emotions, you need to also know my emotions. Okay. The doubt is what? Ki sir, question number 19 na? Question 19. Ki they have given opening stock 1000, raw material 1100, purchase 10,000, labor, overhead, sales, closing stock, finished good. The expected production of the year is 15,000 kg. This become normal capacity. This become normal capacity. And we need to find out actual capacity in this. So we need to find out of the finished product. Due to fall in the market, demand of the sale price for the finished goods was 20 per kg. This is NRB. NRB of finished good. And the replacement cost is 9.5 per kg on the closing day. You are required to calculate the closing stock as on that date. They have given closing stock this and this. You need to find out only the value and then multiply it. So first you need to find out the cost price of finished goods. First you need to find out the cost price of finished goods. Can you see, if you find out cost price of finished goods, you can compare with NRB, and then you can take decision of raw material also. Then you can take decision of raw material. And doubt is in what? The first point only. Yes, in the solution they have given cost of purchase. In this only doubt. Am I right? In the same doubt, same question I will take in CA final. They also ask this doubt. Difference is nothing. Means believe me, if you come to my CA final class now, you will be able to understand everything. But you are not able to. You are not eligible to write what? CA final exam. The difference is that only. Means you all have potential to become CA. Because if I am teaching you, you are understanding, you have potential to become CA. First you need to identify your own potential. You need to identify your own potential, whether you are capable of being CA. You need to only identify, na? So if you say, no, CA is very complicated, no, I may or may not pass. If that question is coming, means you don't know about your potential. You don't know about your potential, na? You are saying may, I may pass, I may not pass. This type of statement should not be given only. Correct? You need to say I am chartered accountant. Only I need to write exam. Only two formalities are there. One will come in CA inter, one will come in CA final. That is only formalities. Am I right or not? When I was doing CA inter, so somebody asked me that time, will you pass? I was like, yes, I will pass. Why I will not pass? Yes or no? Well, percentage that time though CA inter percentage was, right now it is 20%, but that time it was 7-8% in our time. 10% 7 what? 10% means lala. Correct. So they said me the percentage is 10%. How you will pass? So I said even the percentage 0.001%, then also I will pass. Believe. Believe na. Believe na. Belief system. Whatever you say about yourself, that only you become. Whatever you presume about yourself, you will become that only. If you presume yourself as chartered accountant, you will become CA. If you presume that you may not become CA, then you will not become CA. That happens. So never say that I will not become CA. Examination first question is worst question, then also smile, I will become CA. Entire question paper is out of syllabus, then also smile, I will become CA. Correct now? So always you need to say yes, I will become CA. First lesson I am giving. The moment you say you can't become CA, who is hearing? God. And our Godfather is ICA, he is also listening. He does not, means you don't have confidence about yourself, so how can they give the positive result about yourself? So always think in a positive way. Am I right? Yes, sir. So the cost of purchase, how much purchase? 10,000? So it should be 1 lakh na. But is it cost of purchase? Cost of purchase means the raw material consumed during the year, and raw material consumed will be opening stock of raw material, purchase of raw material minus closing stock of raw material. Means you are finding how much finished good produced during the year. It means you need to find out how much raw material has been consumed during the year. Correct? It means it is 1100 opening stock plus 10,000 and minus what? 900. How much it is coming? It is 10,200. Just cross check. 1,100 plus 10,000 minus 900. How much it is coming? How much? 10,200. So they have taken 10,200. So we need to find out cost of purchase, means cost of raw material consumed now. Whatever has been consumed during the year, from that only finished goods will produce. Means just try to understand. I always take example of battery because I have only battery with me. Correct now? Correct. So how many battery I purchased? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, sorry, 10 battery I purchased. But how much I have used? 8 I have used. And whatever I have not used, that is an asset na. So to produce some finished goods, what is my cost? Cost of 8 batteries or cost of 10 batteries? Cost of 8 batteries na, that has been used to produce finished good during the year. So we will take purchase minus closing stock na. So 10 minus 2. So opening stock plus purchase minus closing stock. Am I right? So 10,200. Now one doubt will come. The doubt will not come to you, but that doubt should come. He said, why they have taken 10? Can I say it will be based on either FIFO or weighted average price basis? That also we have done. So FIFO means what? From this lot or from this lot. FIFO means whatever you purchase first will be consumed first. So first you should take from opening stock, then purchase, and weighted average, you will find out one weighted average price. But eventually in this question, this is also 10 rupees, this is also 10 rupees, and therefore formula is not required only, because opening stock was also purchased at 10 rupees and purchase was also purchased at 10 rupees per unit. Therefore you will find out weighted average cost price, it will come 10 rupees only. Am I right or not? And if you apply FIFO also, it will come 10 rupees only. Therefore they have done directly what? 10 rupees. But can you see this 10 rupees should be calculated either by applying FIFO or by applying weighted average cost price method. If nothing is given, then normally we apply what? Weighted average. Normally, but you can also apply FIFO also. But in this question that was not required because purchase was also done at rupees 10 and opening stock was also done at rupees 10. But if it is different, then you do apply on a different basis. Am I right or not? Understood? Have you understood this point? Correct. So 10,210, 1,02,000. Now it's become easy. Now nothing to explain. Now direct labor how much? 76,500. Fixed overhead will be how much? 75,000. So 75,000. Correct. So can you say if nothing is given, we'll assume you consume 10,200. So you'll produce 10,200 only. Correct now. So you have consumed how much raw material? So you will produce how much? 10,200 only. Correct. But what is the expected production? So we will allocate on which basis? Actual production, normal production, whichever is higher. So you will allocate on which basis? On normal production. So you will do divide by 15,000. So what is the cost price per unit for fixed overhead? This 75,000 divided by 15,000 is equal to how much? 5 rupees per unit. But actual production how much? 10,200. So they have done multiplied 10,200 into 5 how much? 51,000. And the balance will be abnormal loss which will be transferred to PL. Balance will be abnormal loss which will be transferred to PL. Understood this point? Correct. Then cost of production will be sum total of this. This become total cost of production divided by actual production how much? 10,000 actual production. 10,200. So this divided by actual production how much? It is coming 22.50. What is the NRB given? 20. So you will value closing stock at what? Cost price or NRB? Whichever is lower, that is 20. Therefore closing stock of finished goods 1,200 into 20. Now in this given question, can you say finished goods are expected to be sold below or above cost price? Below cost price. Therefore raw material will be valued at cost price or replacement cost, whichever is lower. What is the cost price of raw material? 10 rupees. 10 rupees na? What is the replacement cost of raw material? 9 rupees. Whichever is lower, 9. So you will do what? 900 into 9. That the answer has been given. Understood the answer? Correct. Write down in this question MRQ. MRQ means what? MRQ means what? Must revise question before exam. Means I will highlight some question which you need to revise before exam. Must. Before exam means immediately 4 hours before exam. Because there is high chances that you will do mistake in this question. So some question I will identify. Some question you need to identify by your own. That you are doing mistake in that. So just write on MRQ so that question you need to revise just before exam. Before going to what? Exam hall. Revise and go. And suppose that question come. Understood? Smart work. This is known as what? Smart work. Any more doubt? 17. Come to 17. 17. From the following information, ascertain the value of stock as follow. Opening stock given, purchase given, manufacturing expense given, selling expense will be considered. बोल कर लेते हैं. बोलो मजा आ रहा है. Should we include? No. Thank you. Admin expense ले लेना. Information given, use it. No baba. Financial expense. Financial expense means interest cost. Will you add it? No baba, no. Sales is given. At the time of valuing stock on 31st March 2012, a sum of 3,500 was written off on a particular item which was originally purchased for rupees 10,000 and was sold during the year for rupees 9,000. Bearing the transaction this, the gross profit margin is this much. Means this is a question of what? Adjusted selling price method. Adjusted selling price method. Understood? Correct. Understood. So this is very good question given, and if you have said you have understood, have you understood this? Huh? Now, if you have understood, very good. But from my point of doubt should come. From my point of view, doubt should come. Intensely, some question I have given. so that I can understand whether you are doing by your own or not. If you are not asking doubt, means let's see. Chalo. So you can do this with trading account also, correct? But they have not asked trading account, so why you are preparing trading account? That will be also one question, correct now? Because normally what happen, trading account we prepare only when they ask, otherwise we don't prepare. So they have not asked trading account. So if they have not asked trading account, why you are preparing trading account? That will be one question, correct now? Yes or no? But one thing we have understood that during the year, on valuing 31st March 2012 stock, means this become opening stock. This become opening stock, correct? Means if I inform you with the timeline, question number 17 we are doing. This is 31st March 2012. This is 31st March 2013. So while valuing opening stock, how much opening stock is already given? It is given 28,500. 28,500. Sum of the stock whose cost price is how much? 10,000. Has been written down by how much? 3,500. So what is NRV? 6,500. Understood? Correct. This has been sold during the year at what price? How much? 9,000. Correct. Which is not at a given GP margin. Means can I say it is one type of abnormal stock, or we can say obsolete stock or slow moving item? Correct now. Means it is an obsolete stock which cannot be sold at a given profit margin. My question to you all, this 28,500 include 10,000 or 6,500? 6,500. So can I say if you want to apply normal GP margin, so you should exclude this item. You should exclude this item now. And what is the sales during the year? What is sales during the year? 2,49,000. This 2,49,000 include this 9,000 which was not done at profit margin, normal profit margin. So can I say on 2,49,000 you can't apply normal GP margin. So can I say minus 9,000, this become what? The sales which has been done at normal profit margin. Correct now. So it means 2,40,000 is the sales which has been done at normal profit margin. I hope thoda to you are understanding. Correct. Means let me first explain with you trading account, because that is easy to understand. Then we'll understand the statement. Correct. Understood. Means just try to understand. If I will say in this way, if there are two items, one is abnormal item, one is normal item. Abnormal item, normal item. Means can I say this is the abnormal item? Correct. So what is the opening stock of abnormal item? 6,500. And the balance 28,500 minus 6,500, that become balance. So that is 28,500 minus 6,500, how much? 22,000. Correct. This was sold during the year at what price? 9,000. So buy sales how much? 9,000. Means on this how much GP you have earned? How much profit you have earned? 2,500. And can I say there is no closing stock of that item? This account is closed. Means the abnormal item you have understood. Now let us come to the normal item. So what is the purchase during the year? 1 lakh. That is normal only. 1 lakh 52,500. There is some direct expense. I think manufacturing expense given how much? 30,000. Any other direct expense given? Not given. And this has been sold at what? Means out of this some goods has been sold at what? 2 lakh 40,000. On this we are earning some profit margin. What is the profit margin given? 20% of sales. It is given 20% of sales. So can we apply 2,40,000 into 20%, how much? 48,000. Means can I say now we can find out closing stock as a balancing figure. So this become closing stock which is a balancing figure. Understood? तो this plus this minus this is equal minus this, how much बताओ? All this plus minus 2,40,000, how much? 2,000. So 12,500 is your answer. 12,500 is the answer. I think trading account you have understood, correct? Now if you have understood trading account, you can understand statement given the solution. In exam, follow the statement. In exam, follow the statement, correct? Now because that is the actual way to do the solution. Why to take risk unnecessary? One exam, why to take risk? One attempt now, so why to take risk? Understood now? So of course you have understood, so you can present this in what statement format also. Am I right or not? So you can see first, see whether our answer is correct. Correct. Our answer is so correct. Now let us understand this. So what they have given? Stock, opening stock, this वहां से how much we have eliminated. So it is the balance normal stock, that only we have done. Then they have had purchase, that only we have done. Then they have the manufacturing expense, that only we have done. Then this is the total cost of purchase of normal item. Cost of goods available for sale, we can say. This cost of goods available for sale. Then out of these, how much we have sold at normal profit margin. So that is what? 2,49,000 minus 9,000, 2,40,000 minus 48,000 GP margin. So this much has been sold. Cost of goods sold 1,90,000 become cost of goods sold. If from 2,48,000 you remove GP, so the balance is what? Cost of goods sold. What is the formula for cost of goods sold? Sales minus GP is what? Cost of goods sold now means at what price the goods has been sold. The cost price of goods sold is sales minus GP. So from sales, if you deduct GP, this is cost of goods sold. This was the cost of goods available for sale. The balance will be what? Cost of goods which is not sold. Cost of goods which is not sold. That is closing stock. So you can apply this statement also now. Once you have understood what? Trading account. Can you write on this trading account for your understanding? For your understanding, write on this trading account. This is for understanding. This is only for understanding. This is question number 70. I hope you have understood now. And write on MRQ. Write on MRQ. MRQ means what? Must revise question. 2 homework question become MRQ question. Normally I give good question in homework. I am a different type of teacher. Normally other teacher will give simple question in homework. Home is for what? Using your expertise. Correct? So write down this for understanding. Anyone who have not understood this? Those who came last class, they know that they can only ask. Those who have not attended the class, of course, for them, right now I can't do anything. Have you understood? Pakka? Have you written MRQ? MRQ. Done? Yes, sir. Any more doubt? Any more doubt? So I hope two questions were doubtful from my point of view. That two questions you have asked. Apart from this, no question doubt. MCQs done? MCQs not read. That who will read? I will read. अरे भाई I say all question means all question including theory question also. Huh? MCQs not done? When will do? After exam or after marriage? When will do? MCQs? अरे बोलना रे today. Very good. चलो चलो. Can we start a new accounting standard? So you can see we will start AS29. Oh my god, last accounting standard will become our second accounting standard. Different type of teacher. ठीक है ना? From AS2 directly we are going to AS29. मजा है ना? मजा है. Correct. But there are two accounting standards. I need to link that. One is AS4. After this we'll do AS4. Immediately after AS29 I will introduce in your life what? AS4. What is AS4? AS4 means contingencies and event occurring after BS. BS means balance sheet date. Correct. This is AS4. And what is AS29? Provisions contingent liabilities and what? Contingent asset. नाम तो सुना ही होगा. I think provision, contingent liability, contingent asset. I think you have heard these terms. You are familiar with these terms. There is not a new term in your life. Whether it is a new term in your life? No. Correct. Now, before AS29, which AS came? AS4. Correct. So when AS4 was there and when AS29 was not there, because AS29 was introduced later year, in the later part of year. So first they have issued AS4 and then what came? AS29. So when AS29 was not there, then all the contingencies were dealt with AS4 only. So what is contingencies? I will explain. But with introduction of AS29, the contingencies part was withdrawn from AS4 and has been shifted to AS29. Means now AS4 is only for event occurring after balance sheet date. Correct? Have you understood the English whatever I have said? Yes, sir. What I said once again. Initially there was AS4. So that used to deal with two topics. One is contingencies, one is event occurring after balance sheet date. These were two different topics. Contingencies. What is contingencies? I will define. But contingency is nothing but which will give rise to provision, contingent liability, etc. I am just giving a hint. But in this AS4, provision was not defined, contingent liability was not defined, contingent asset was not defined. Therefore, there was a need of a separate accounting standard. And therefore, a separate accounting standard was issued, that is AS29. But once this AS29 was issued, then AS4 to the extent of contingencies, now AS4 will not deal. The entire contingencies part will be now covered where? In AS29. But the meaning of contingencies was given where? AS4. Means if I want to start AS29, first I need to give you what is contingencies, and the meaning of contingencies given where? AS4. Means can I say now with introduction of what? AS29, contingencies is now covered. Contingencies is now covered where? Covered under AS29. With introduction of AS29, contingencies was withdrawn from AS4 and now is this covered where? AS29, correct? So contingencies with introduction of AS29, contingencies is now covered under what? AS29, correct? With an exception, means only for one particular topic AS4 will be attracted. What is that topic that I need to explain? Apart from that, all contingencies will be now dealt where? AS29. I hope you have understood. Introduction you understood? So can you see, if I want to explain first AS29, I need to first give the meaning of contingency so that you can understand why it has been shifted to what? AS29. So I am just giving the background now. So let us come to meaning of contingencies. Now meaning of contingency given in which AS? AS4. Even though now it is covered where? AS29. I hope you understand it. Correct. Meaning of contingencies. Meaning of contingencies. It is as per AS4. Yes or no? So before I start meaning of contingencies, can I ask some question to you? Whether you will give me that right? Whether you will give me that right to ask that you some question? Because in class, you have a right to ask question now. I have an obligation to answer. So if I am asking a question, I need to take permission from you now. Am I right or not? So will you give me permission to ask some question? Thank you very much. Means in class, who is more powerful? You are more powerful. I am to standing रे. I am punishment मिला हुआ है. I am standing. Who is sitting? So who is more powerful? अरे बोलना रे. Am I right or not? Correct. चलो. So what I am saying? Because you have given permission, because of that reason I am asking question. Otherwise, so I have no right only. Correct. So what is the meaning? First question, what is the meaning of provision? Second question, I'll ask three questions. Think and process and then say. First question, what is the meaning of provision? Second question, what is the difference between provision and contingent liability? Third question, whether provision for doubtful debt is a provision. Whether provision for doubtful debt is a provision, or sorry, if I refine it, whether provision for doubtful debt is a liability. Chalo, three questions. First, what is the meaning of provision? Who will say? Because you are familiar with this now. I started, you said yes sir, we know. So if we know, then say, what is the meaning of provision? Anyone can participate. The student who raise your hand, I will ask them only. Correct? कहाँ सुना? Sorry. चलो. But that is the meaning up to CA foundation level. ठीक है ना? That is meaning up to CA foundation level. Now तो I am introducing AS29 in your life. So we need to go थोड़ा सा technical. चलो ठीक है, but I am happy with you. I am happy with one chocolate to you. Write down one chocolate. At the end you can demand. Correct? Understood now? At the end you demand, sir, this much chocolate you have said. Okay? So one chocolate in your name. Okay? Okay. Now, what is the difference between provision and contingent liability? Is there any difference or they are same? Name is different, so they are different only. So what is the difference between provision and contingent liability? बोल दे. So he is saying that provision is related to past event, contingent liability is related to future event. मजा आ रहा है? Correct. Now I will not say whether you are correct or not. That so you will automatically understand. Anyone want to add something to this point? You want to add? No. You want to add? Me. When I will ask, then only you will add. Huh? Chalo, add. He is saying that provision is certain and contingent liability is uncertain. Correct? Okay. Chalo, ठीक है. Any more point? Okay. Third question. Whether provision for doubtful debt is a provision. Whether it is a provision. Whether provision for doubtful debt is a provision. Yes or no? Yes, sir. So three different question I have asked. You have given three, your answer, your viewpoint. So you are saying provision for doubtful debt is a provision. Now let me introduce contingencies in your life. Correct? So sir, what is the meaning of contingencies? As per AS4, contingencies are conditions or situations existing on which date? On balance sheet date. Acha. Means contingencies are any conditions or any situations existing on which date? Balance sheet date. Okay. Correct? Understood? Okay. Outcome is what? Result can be favorable or unfavorable. Correct? Outcome means this outcome can be favorable or unfavorable. Am I right or not? Correct. So outcome of which means what? Outcome of that condition. Correct. Outcome of that condition is not known. Is not known. Outcome of that condition is not known. Correct. Which is dependent, which means outcome. The outcome is dependent. On happening or non-happening or what? Non-happening of uncertain future event. Uncertain future event. Uncertain means it is based on future event, but that future event is what? Uncertain. This is the meaning of contingencies. Correct. So contingencies are conditions. बोलो ना. Contingencies are conditions. बोल. Contingencies are conditions or situation existing on outcome of which is not known, which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. Correct? थोड़ा समझ में आया? Now, it is existing on balance sheet date means condition already arises. Means can I say it arises from past event? Already some event has occurred which will give rise to what? which will give rise to what? Condition on balance sheet date. Means it is arising from past event or future event? Past event. So existing means can this condition is arising from past event? From past event. Am I right or not? Yes, sir. Correct. This much you understood? So can I say whatever condition is existing on balance sheet that already arises from past event, but the outcome of which is not known to us. That can be favorable, unfavorable, but that is not known to us right now. And it is dependent on happening or non-happening of some uncertain future event. And that future event also we don't know whether it will happen or it will not happen. This is contingencies. Let me introduce some day-to-day example in your life. Correct. Means let us introduce contingencies of our life. Correct. I'll give some examples which already is happening in your life. Correct. Let me take some example. You passed class 12th exam and your friend also passed class 12th exam. Correct. This is you. This is your friend. Good friend. You know good friend? Your GF. GF means what? Good friend. Correct. Understood. थोड़ा मजा आ रहा है. Correct. Understood. Correct. Now you passed 12th exam. You have done registration. You have registered for CA course. But your good friend was very much good. He said or she said, no, I will not do CA. I will do only BCom. But he also registered for BCom, na? Bole yes or no? So he registered for what? BCom. I hope you are understanding. Correct? Understood. So can I say, just try to understand, once you have registered in CA from your point of view, so there is some condition existing on this particular day that you have registered for CA. There is some condition now, you have paid fees to ICI. You already, so some condition is existing on that particular day. Why? Because you have already registered. This is a past event. You have done registration with ICI. This is past event. Because of that registration, some condition is existing on that day. Outcome of which is not known. Whether you will become CA or you will not become CA, that is not known. Outcome of which is not known, which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future exam. Bole yes or no? Whether you will appear, you will not appear, that also we don't know. So can you say there is some contingencies in your life or not? Once you have registered, there is some contingencies in your life or not? Are bol de yes? Yes. Let us come to your friend life. Your friend. So your friend also registered for BCom. So condition is existing on that particular day. BCom. Outcome of which is not known. Outcome is also not known now. Whether he will pass BCom exam or he will not pass BCom exam. That is so not known. Am I right or not? Which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. You will appear, you will not appear, you will write, you will not write. Future exam, that is uncertain. So once again in your friend also contingencies is there or not? So in your life, in your friend life, there is some contingencies on that particular day or not? Understood? Can you see it meet the definition? Definition satisfied? Correct. Now, let us understand how we react with the contingencies. So we have some contingencies. Our accounting principle says, our accounting policy said we need to react for that. We need to react for that. How to react that we need to understand. How to react that we need to understand. Let us understand reaction. Now, Let us come to your contingency, your life. Because you registered for CA exam, so you ask your senior, कि भैया भैया भैया, you ask your senior ना, correct? Or didi didi didi, you ask your senior, sir ji, that what is the probability of passing CA exam? So he has seen you from bottom to top. Understood na? One question mark will be there. How you are doing CA? Correct? And then they will say 20% probability. What is it? Probability of passing is only 20%. Means probability of failing is more than probability of passing. So you scared, huh? I have registered for what? CA course. So what reaction you'll do? Can I say you'll take coaching class? बोलना yes or no? This is reaction. Means can I say you have taken coaching class? Why? Because probability of fail is more than probability of pass in that exam. Am I right or not? Otherwise, so you have never taken coaching class. बोलना yes or no? So coaching class is nothing but you have created provision in your life. Coaching class is nothing but you have created some provision in your life. You have created provision does not mean you will pass. If you have created provision, it does not mean loss will not occur. Loss so may happen right now also. But can I say you have safeguarded yourself by taking some coaching class? Am I right or not? So you have reacted with that contingencies. So whenever probability of fail is more than probability of pass, so you have taken coaching class. Am I right or not? Let us come to your friend's life. Understood? Same contingency, similar contingencies was there. Now he has registered for BCom examination. He asks his senior, Sir ji, what is the probability of passing the exam? Acha, you have BCom, you will pakka pass. Only write exam, you will pass. Before one day you read this small book is there, guarantee you will pass. Huh? Only the small book. Correct? Yes. Pass. But will you take coaching? Will you create any provision in your life? So you can create. It's better to create provision, but you will not create provision. If they are saying there is a high probability you will pass, so why you will take provision? Why you will create coaching? Why you will take coaching classes? I am not saying that become a student do not take coaching class. Become a student can also create provision, but can I say if you are a good student you will never take coaching class. You can pass with self-study before one day. Only one day match you will play and you will hit 6. Am I right or not? So in this case, can I say in both life there were contingencies, but both reacted what? In a different way. I'll give a better example. One more example. Can I give? मजा आ रहा है? हाँ? Can I give one more example? हाँ? मजा आ रहा है? Then only I'll give. Even though you say no, I'll give. चलो ठीक है. Now, can I give? So this you have understood. Can I say here, if I say probability of fail is more than probability of pass. But don't be demotivated with this example. Huh? This you also know. This you also know. I also know. But this is as per your senior. You ask wrong senior. You ask me. Then I will say you will pakka pass. Means you ask those person who have taken multiple attempt. Na? And in market, 90% students are who are taken multiple attempts. So they are not studying now. You ask those students who pass, they will say it is very easy. You ask me, I am also chartered accountant, right? Correct. You ask me, it is very easy. You need to only thoda sa study. Thoda sa. Already say 50%. 50% is criteria. Correct. So don't be demotivated. Huh? This is only an example as per the seniors. But here, the probability of pass is more than probability of fail. Correct. And therefore, here no coaching required. Here coaching is required. Means you will take coaching. Yes or no? Correct. Second example. Suppose you are prepared for CA inter exam, fully prepared, and today is your exam day, paper 1. Paper 1. Okay, May 24, attempt came and paper 1. Okay. So today is your exam day. You are already prepared, you are confident that you will score 90% in FR. Because Chiranjeev Jain is with you. So you are totally confident 90% you score. Correct? Yes. Sir. So you are already prepared, you have done puja, uja, etc. and you are just leaving for exam hall. Correct? Now your exam hall is 1 kilometer from your house. Correct? Now there is one condition that you need to go only by walking. Means you can't use private transport, public transport, you can't take lift, you can't call your friends, no one is in your life right now. Correct? Means you need to go only by what? Walking. Suppose there is a strike, no transport available. Correct? Only need to go by walking. You don't have friends also. You can't take lift also. Nothing. Correct? Understood? So the moment you started for your exam day, what happened? You have seen black cloud. Cloud? Cloud. So acha, black cloud. What you will think? Rain may or may not come. Correct now. Now if you go by walking, then what will happen? Correct. So because you are a smart boy, smart student with a smartphone. Yes or no? You are smart and you have a smartphone. So you have Google Baba also. You know Google Baba? So Google Baba answer every question if you ask. So in Google Baba you ask one question, what is the weather report of today? Whether rain will come or rain will not come. Google Baba answer, there is a high probability of rain in your area. Huh? There is a high probability. What Google Baba says? There is a high probability of rain. First thing, can you just try to understand the situation? Whether there is a contingencies in your life or not. On this day, there is a condition existing on exam day. That condition is black cloud. Outcome of which is not known. Whether rain will come or rain will not come. That you don't know. Which is dependent on uncertain future event. Future event is actual fall of rain or it will not come. Which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. So can I see, yes, contingencies is there in your life on exam day. And because of that reason, you ask Google Baba, what is the probability of rain? And now Google Baba is saying there is a high probability of rain. But how you react with this? Dekho, reaction came. He is taking such a defined answer. He will say he will create a provision by taking umbrella. Will you use umbrella? No. Will you use umbrella right now? You will only create a provision. You will not use umbrella. You will use umbrella only on actual rain. That you don't know whether it will come or it will not come. Means you are creating provision or not? You are creating provision because the probability is high. Because the probability is high. Understood? This is nothing but creating provision in your life. This is nothing but provision. I hope you have understood. I am changing the thoda sa example. Same story, circumstances will change. Same story. Correct? You were just leaving for your exam hall. You have seen black cloud. But what happened with black cloud? Now wind is also blowing. High wind is also blowing. Understood? Once again you ask whom? Google Baba. Sirji, what is the chances of rain today in my area within 1 kilometer? Google Baba says because wind is blowing, the cloud may shift from Hyderabad to Sikandrabad. Therefore, the chance of rain in your area is not high, is less. Can I say your reaction will change? Can I say it is always better to take umbrella? I always say it is better to create provision, but unnecessary to will not create provision. Na? It is better to create provision. If you are creating provision, if you are taking umbrella, no one will say why you are taking umbrella. So if you are creating provision, no one will say why you are creating provision, but unnecessary, why to create provision? Suppose you, in this situation, when the chances are very less, and you know that in 1 kilometer we reach, you may decide not to take umbrellas. No? Am I right or not? You may decide or not. But in this case, you will do one thing. If you are not taking umbrella, you may decide not to take umbrella, but you will do one thing. You will inform your parents that I am going without umbrella. If in between something happens, come and save me, because this is exam day. Means you will disclose the fact. To whom? To the user of financial statement. This is nothing but contingent liability. This is nothing but contingent liability. Understood what I am saying? When you are not creating provision, inform others. Inform the user that you have not created provision. Take rational decision based on the information. You are informing that fact to whom? To the user of financial statement. That is nothing but contingent liability. So contingent liability we don't recognize in our financial statement. We only disclose. We are informing to whom? To the user of financial statement. This is contingent liability. Both arises from where? Contingencies. Both are byproduct of what? Contingencies. Means contingency remains same. Either it will be provision or it will be contingent liability, depending upon the facts and circumstances. Understood? Have you understood? Correct. I have given two very basic examples. We'll come to the accounting example also. But first, to understand the meaning. Meaning you have understood? Let us once again define the meaning. Contingency is a condition or situation existing or balance sheet outcome of which is not known, which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. Can you repeat with me? Contingencies are condition or situation existing on balance sheet, outcome of which is not known, which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. Have you understood? Thora, pura, thora only. Thora. Pura is not required by ICI. They are saying 50%. So why to take so much burden? Am I right or not? They are saying get 50%, take a prefix CA in your name. So why pura thora mein ho jate na? Any burden required? Any tension required? Not required. Am I right or not? Yes, sir. Now contingencies you have understood. Now let us understand thoda sa in detail. One thing is understood, entire thing is dependent on outcome. Bolo yes or no? Outcome. Means our decision is based on outcome. Correct. One thing we have understood, outcome can be favorable or unfavorable. Correct. Understood? Means outcome of what? Condition. Outcome of condition. Arising from which event? Arising from past event, not future event. Outcome of condition which already arises from which event? Past event. Understood? Correct. Have understood? Means when I say favorable, so from accounting terms it is income or expense? Income. Expected income, actual income. Expected. Expected. Yes or no? It means we are discussing about expected income. Expected income na? Income will include gains. So income will include gains. How about CA, Inter, CA Foundation? Most of our teachers say income or gains. Arey na baba, income include gains. There is no need to say income or gain. Income include, income is a wider term. Income include gains. Correct. So expected income arising from which event? Past event. Should we recognize it? No. As per which principle? Conservatism principle. Where you have done? Yes, no? Conservatism where you have done? CA Foundation? Yes or no? CA Foundation conservatism. We should be conservative. Will not recognize any expected income. We recognize only what? Expected expenses arising from past event. Means should we recognize it? No, no, no. Do not recognize. Recognize means what? Record. Do not record it. We don't pass journal entry for this. Do not recognize. Do not recognize. Correct? Have you understood? This is nothing but known as contingent asset. Oh ho ho ho. Acha 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 acha. This is nothing but contingent asset. And this contingent asset. So this expected income become your contingent asset which will never recognize in our balance sheet. It will never be recorded in our books of account. No journal entry will be recorded. Correct? Understood? Correct. Now, unfavorable means what? Expected expenses. Expenses will include what? Loss. Correct. So it means expected expenses. Expenses will include loss. Should we recognize it? But not always. Now, not always. Yes, but not always. Yes, but not always. Our conservatism principle says yes, we should recognize, but there is some conditions. Can I say yes, but there should be some condition to be satisfied? Can I say if the outcome is probable? Probable means what? Chances are more than 50%. Oh ho 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 ho. If that expected expenses chances are more than 50%, higher chances. Higher chances. Yes or no? You have taken umbrella when the chances of rain was high, na? High. Correct. Understood. And amount can be estimated. Can you see, if you want to record, you need to estimate the amount. If you can't estimate the amount, can you pass an entry? It means you need to estimate the amount of loss. And if you are saying I can't estimate the amount of loss, so gar beto. Then how can you pass an entry? Am I right or not? The amount can be estimated. Am I right or not? So it is probable. Probable means what? Chances are more than 50%. Chances are more than 50%. And amount can be estimated. Oh ho 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 ho. Acha acha acha. समझे sir. You are a very good teacher, sir. We love you, sir. कहाँ थे अभी तक? Understood? Correct. So बताओ what we'll do? We will recognize, या will say, will provide. Provide such expenses, or you can say losses. Provide means recognize. recognize. Correct? Understood? Have you understood? Correct. But if I say other cases means what? Either the outcome is not probable, or amount cannot be estimated, or both condition is not satisfied. Then what? Disclose the fact. Disclose the fact. Understood? Disclose the fact. Disclose the fact. We give disclosure where? In notes to account. Understood? In notes to account. Have you understood this point? I think Thora you understood. Means you can see whenever there is an unfavorable situation, then we can recognize provision. That too when the chances of that loss is very high, when the chances of occurrence of such loss is more than 50%, an amount can be estimated. Understood? Now, to a detail. Now you have understood that we are discussing this, we are recognizing only expected expenses, we are not recognizing expected income. So ignore expected income. Let us concentrate on expected expenses. Correct? Means now we are discussing about expected expenses arising from which event? Past event. What can be the possible reason for this? Can I say this may be either due to decline in the value of asset? Bolo yes or no? Either it can be due to decline in the value of asset. Am I right? Or that can be due to what? Increase in the value of what? Liabilities. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Thoda we have understood. Now, when I am saying this is due to increase in the value of liability, it means, can I say, there is an obligation to pay, in future. Understood? Correct. So there is an obligation to pay in future. Understood? And for this, if it is probable, so we create provision. And if it is not probable, then we disclose it as what? Contingent liability. Have you understood this point? Means, can I conclude provisions are liability? Bolo yes or no? Can I conclude provisions are liabilities? And for this entire discussion, AS 29 is applicable. Means for this part, AS 29 is applicable, which we are going to learn. For this part, AS 29 is applicable. Are you able to understand? Are you able to understand? Thora thora. Correct. Yes. So I think second part too you have understood. Second part means this part, right hand side. My right hand side. Correct. Let us come to first part. Means any expenses which is due to decline in the value of asset. Whether there is any obligation to pay. Whether there is any obligation to pay. Yes or no? No obligation to pay. No obligation to pay. Correct. बोला yes or no? Understood. So one thing is clear, there is no obligation to pay in future. It is not a liability. It is not a liability. It is not a liabilities. Yes or no? Correct. So these are only an adjustment to asset. Adjustment to assets. Understood? So these are only known as adjustment to asset. Adjustment to asset. So these are not liability, you have already said. Correct. So we'll make some adjustment to asset for that decline. For that decline, we'll make some adjustment to the asset. Have you understood this much? Correct. This adjustment is nothing but known as impairment loss. Is known as what? Impairment loss. A new term in your life. A new term in your life. It is known as what? Impairment loss. Correct? Understood? It is known as impairment loss. Got it? Let us take some examples of asset. So we have done inventories right now. Already we have done inventories. What AS2 says? Inventory is valued at cost price or NRV, whichever is lower. So writing down is nothing but adjustment to inventory or not. Based on this principle only, but covered in which AS? AS2. Means for that AS29 is not applicable. Understood what I am saying? Means can I say for this adjustment, for this, can I say this is not a liability and therefore AS29 is not applicable? Because AS29 is applicable for obligation and it is not an obligation. Are you able to understand what I am saying? So for inventory, which AS will be applicable? AS2. So that write down, whatever we say, writing down of inventory is nothing but impairment loss. It is nothing but impairment loss and that is transferred to what? PL. Based on conservatism principle, based on contingencies only. We have done now. We have done. Yes or no? Means we have applied this principle only. Principle was same. But covered under which AS? AS2. Correct. Similarly, can I say we have property, plant and equipment. PP means what? Property, plant and equipment. Means bachpan mein I think you have also said them fixed asset. But fixed asset is a bakwas name. And therefore it has been deleted from our life. Fixed asset. Asset which are fixed. Whether these furnitures are fixed. Where it is fixed? I can move it. Where is fixed? Building chalo fixed hai. Whether the furniture are fixed, whether car is fixed, it's a movable asset. How it can be fixed as a name bakwas and they were deleted from our life. Now we'll never use in CA Inter fixed asset. CA foundation okay. Bachcha tha na. You are chote chote bacche. They have said fixed asset only na. Now understood? Now we'll never use. in CA enter. We'll say what? Property, plant and equipment. Correct. Similarly, we have intangible asset. Intangible asset. So there can be decline in the IA means what? You write full life if you are not able to understand, huh? Because I am habituated of writing what IA. Correct. If you want to write down property, plant and equipment, intangible asset. Write down full if you want to write down full, huh? Now, there can be decline in the value of this asset also. What is that decline? Whether depreciation is declining the value of asset. Whether depreciation is declining the value of asset. What do you think? Whether depreciation is declining the value of asset. Yes or no? You are saying depreciation is declining the value of asset. Yes or no? Let me take one example. Try to understand this example. I purchased one camera of rupees 1 lakh today. Understood? But immediately after purchase of this camera, the market price of this camera increased. Possible or not? Possible? Bole yes or no? Means I purchased at rupees 1 lakh, now it is available in the market at rupees 1,50,000. Increase or decrease? Is it increase in the value or decrease in the value? Increase. Will you depreciate this camera? Will I depreciate this camera? So depreciation is also possible when asset is appreciated. Means depreciation is not decline in the value of asset. Depreciation does not mean decline in the value of asset. You need to depreciate even though asset is appreciating. Depreciation means what? Depreciation means what? Reduction in the value of asset. Wow, English. English is a very funny language. But decrease not, sir. Reduction in the value of asset. Mahan hai. Depreciation is what? Expense. Very good. Bolo. Yeah, actually, where you have done? This where you have done? When I have done? Oh, some basic class I have taken. You know why I have taken that? So that you can answer right now. And if you are not answering, means that day you are sleeping. If you are not able to answer, I got 2 answers and the same person given me 2 answers. Means you always sleeping that time. Because foundation concept, we have given piece for CA intern who will take care of that. Whatever I am teaching, I have said that I am not teaching for you, I am teaching for myself. Nothing is free seva from my side. I am Pakka Indian, Pakka Marwari, Pakka Chartered Accountant. Nothing is free in my class. I have taken fees and because of that reason I am teaching you. Understood? Are you able to understand? Are bolna re? And if you are not answering, it means that day you are sleeping. Am I right or not? I have already explained depreciation is systematic allocation of cost price during the useful life of asset due to which concept? Conservatism. Which concept? Matching concept. Forgotten. Few days before we have done. Now this is the position. Because you have not done revision of that class. CA foundation, who will revise? We passed CA foundation, na? Am I right or not? Who will revise? Who will open the notebook and who will see that? Who is this CHIRANJEEV JAIN? Why he wasted our 3 class? Time will come. Understood? You change or ICI will change you. Have you understood the meaning of this sentence? You change by your own, otherwise who is going to change you? ICI. Don't give him that chance. Correct? Are you able to understand? Either you change or ICI will change you. Correct? I am not demotivating you. I am motivating you to revise. Understood? One life, one attempt. One life or multiple attempts. We have got multiple life or what? One life. No, so 7 life we have. Our Pandit said you will take 7 birth. Somebody says na? Correct? No, no, no. One life, one attempt. Understood? Correct. जीवन में one atom के बारे में सोचेंगे. Now, so depreciation is not decline in the value of asset. That is due to matching concept, and therefore it is not based on conservatism. I am teaching you conservatism matching concept right now. Right now our principle is based on which concept? Conservatism. So depreciation will not come only. Understood? So PP decline is actually covered under AS 28. Coming soon, we'll discuss. That decline is known as impairment loss. Already I have said. Impairment loss. Impairment loss. So depreciation is not due to contingency, but impairment loss is due to contingency, but covered under AS 28, coming soon in your life. Understood? Correct? Understood. Similarly, there can be some investment. Suppose you purchase investment, you have done some investment in equity shares or debenture. You know equity shares? Have you purchased any time equity shares? You have not purchased? Someday will purchase. Okay. Correct? Okay. So investment in equity shares. Now you purchase at rupees 100, but now you are expecting that it may become 90. Expected loss or not? Yes or no? Expected loss. So in this AS 13 will be applicable. Means I just want to inform you that this AS is coming soon, but AS 29 is not applicable, which I am teaching you. But this also arises from what? Contingencies. Contingencies. Are you able to follow me? Correct? One more example. Receivable. Receivable means what? Debtor, na? Debtor. Debtor is an asset or liability? Asset. That is a asset. So decline in the value of debtor. Batao. That decline is known as what? That decline is known as what? But what you create? Provision for doubtful debt. Provision for doubtful debt. Understood or not? Correct. So for this we create provision for doubtful debt based on which principle? Conservatism principle. Correct. But whether it is a liability? Whether it is a liability? It is not a liability. It means it is not a provision. Because provisions are what? Liabilities. Oh my God, sir, pagal kar do hame. Are we able to understand? Means what conclusion we have drawn? Ki provisions are liability. Understood? Now, from bachpan se you are calling this impairment loss as provision for doubtful debt or not? So, provision for doubtful debt is a liability or it is not a liability? It is not a liability because there is no obligation to pay. There was some amount recoverable which is now not recoverable, whether there is an obligation to pay or there is a right to receive, and which is not recoverable. So, of course, there is no obligation to pay. The question, it is not a liability only, and provisions are liabilities. It is not a provision also. Am I right or not? So, can you say it is not a provision? Because AS 29 says provisions are what? Liability. Can I say it is bakwas name given? It should not be known as provision. It should not be known as provision or not. But नाम में क्या रखा हुआ है? We should see name or that person work. Means value will depend upon work or name. Means I can call you Narendra Modi also. Will you become Narendra Modi? अरे बोलना रे. और my son, suppose my son तो चलो हो गया है. My son will come and I say your name is Narendra Modi. So he will become Prime Minister. Huh? So if I will call provision, it will become liability. If you are calling provision, whether it will become liability? नाम में क्या रखा है, काम देखो. Are we getting what I am saying? So I will say it is bakwas name given. Bakwas name given. My son name is in God. You know Shankar Baba, Shankar Bhagwan. So my son name is with that name. So whether he become God? Huh? No, no. Am I right or not? Are you able to understand what I am saying? Just try to understand what I am saying. Name, we are calling it provision, but it is not a provision. Because it is not a liability. If by mistake wrong name has been given, and we are calling it provision from traditional days, someone has given that name, we are following that. Am I right or not? But a correct term, if I say correct term is allowance for bad and doubtful debt. But don't worry, we'll call it provision for doubtful debt because everyone is saying provision for doubtful debt. But what I just want to inform you that it is not a liability, it is not a provision. Because AS 29 says provisions are liability and these are not liability. So am I correct or not? And imbalance is you don't write provision for doubtful debt in liability side. It is clear that it is not a liability. Am I right or not? So now if somebody asking you whether provision for doubtful debt is a provision, it is not a provision, but it is created due to contingencies and it is covered under AS4 only. Oh, I said one exception is there. You remember beginning? There is one exception with an exception. Ki only provision for doubtful debt is covered where? Covered under AS4. Otherwise, all provisions are covered under what? AS29. And understood why it is not covered under AS29? Because AS29 says provisions are what? Liability, and it is not a liability. So we'll apply AS4 for creating provision for doubtful debt. Let us come to the definition. Correct? Let us come to definition. Suppose you have done one credit sales. Let us come to the definition contingencies, whether it is fulfilled or not. Suppose you have done some credit sales today and you have given a credit period of 2 months. 2 months expired, but the amount is not received. You are calling that person, Sarji, please pay. He is saying we'll pay, but he is not paying. He is saying we'll pay, Baba, but he is not paying. 1000 times I have called. He said, don't worry, I'll come and pay. But he is not paying. He become doubtful or not? Doubtful debtor. Whether he will pay or he will not pay. But he is not a bad debtor. Because he is not saying, I will not pay, ja jo karna kar le. Are you getting what I am saying? Are we able to understand what I am saying? He is saying, I will pay, but he is not paying. 1 month expired, 2 months expired, 3 months expired, 4 months expired, balance sheet date came. Balance sheet date came. Now we have a debtor, doubtful debtor, standing on balance sheet date. Correct? So, meaning, these contingencies are condition. The doubtful debt is a condition. Bole yes or no? Existing on balance sheet date, arising from past event, because he is not paying, he has not paid on due date. So that doubtful is a contingency or not? Correct. Outcome of which is not known, whether he will pay or he will not pay, it is not known right now. Which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. It might happen, he can come and pay the amount. It might happen, he will say, I am insolvent. Whatever you want to do. Which is dependent on what? So, contingency definition is satisfied or not? Yes. Then you will come to AS4. Batao. Outcome. Whether it will result in expected income or expected expense. Expected expense. Now what AS4 says, just see whether it is probable, whether it is a high chances loss will be there. Now management will think, you have called 1000 times, he is not paying, now there is a high chances he will not pay. an amount can be estimated. Of course, amount can be estimated. I can estimate your life only. Give me a chance. Yes or no? I can estimate your life. Give me some money. I can estimate. Bolna yes or no? The estimation though can be done. I can estimate your marks also, provided you give me that chance. The amount can be estimated. What can be the amount of loss? If both conditions satisfied, provide expenses, means provide that loss and create provision for doubtful debt. So can you say this is based on AS4, not AS29? And apart from this, all provisions has been shifted to what? AS29. Have you understood this much? If you have understood this much, we can go to what? AS29. Have you understood the explanation part? From this to this, CA foundation and CA inter difference you understood? Try to understand difference. But maja aa raha hai? Are you able to follow me? If you are able to follow me, means you are understanding. The course is easy, na? If you are not able to understand, then I will say course is tough. But if you are able to understand, it is easy, na? Are you able to follow? 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 Everyone ever following? Let me ask you one question. If you can say me correct answer, so it means you have understood, or it means you have not understood if you are giving me wrong answer. So every time I will ask one question to understand whether you are understanding my emotions or not. But up to this, any doubt you can ask me, then only I will ask some questions. First your turn. Any doubt? No doubt? Pakka, can I ask one question? This too you have understood. My question to you all, that you all know about provision for depreciation. Provision for depreciation. Am I right or not? Provision for depreciation. Everyone know provision for depreciation? Provision for depreciation will come in first part ki second part. Raise your hand. No one will respond till I ask. Provision for depreciation will come in first part or second part? Raise your hand. In the first class I said, even though you don't know, raise your hand. Maximum what will happen? You will give me wrong answer. But I will not slap you for that, na. Whether I will slap you, that much legal right to I don't have only. Right. Provision for depreciation will come in first part or second part? First part. How many are saying first part? Okay. Any alternative answer? Is anyone saying second part or any other answer? Any other answer? First part. First part. Huh? You are saying second part. I am not asking explanation. I am only asking first part or second part. Any other answer? Everyone saying first, the maximum of you are saying first part, and one answer I got second part. But all are wrong. All are wrong. It will neither come in first part, nor it will come in second part. Already I have explained right now. Depreciation is due to matching concept. Matching concept. Yes or no? And we are doing what? We are doing what? Conservatism principle. जो दिखता है होता नहीं, जो होता है दिखता नहीं. This is what? CA. But don't worry. Even though in CA final I ask this question, everyone say give with maximum will give me wrong answer, because you and they are safe. If they are giving wrong answer, there is nothing wrong that you are giving wrong answer. Na? Am I right or not? If they can pass CA inter, after passing CA inter they are giving wrong answer, so you are better than them. You have not yet passed CA in 10, then you are giving wrong answer. Bolna yes or no? So don't worry. Even you ask this question to many chartered accountants, they also don't know. They also don't know because perfection not required. Only 50% required. 90% of CA are not perfect. 90% because 50% na. 50%. Am I right or not? But they are chartered accountant. Respect hai bhai. Understood? So there is nothing wrong if you are giving wrong answer, but I am here to make you expert or make you average CA. Expert चाहिए ना तो I will give you entire knowledge. Catch करना है तो catch कर लो. If you want to catch it. Otherwise you can leave it. Understood? Because this type of question they will not ask in exam. This is only for your better understanding. I have already given this. I just want to see that how many of you are concentrating in class. Means if you would have concentrated, so I have already said depreciation will not come in this particular topic. And then I have asked one question, provision for depreciation. Once again, you actually have taken wrong decision because of the name, provision for depreciation. And in my CA foundation basic concept class, I have already said provision for depreciation maha bakwas name. We should use accumulated depreciation. Once again, you have not concentrated in my CA foundation basic concept class. I have said in my class, basic concept class, that provision for depreciation is bakwas name and we should use what accumulated depreciation account. Yes or no? That you have forgotten. Means can I say provision for doubtful debt थोड़ा correct because this is due to conservatism. Provision for doubtful debt, I am saying चलो ठीक है थोड़ा सा correct है. Why? Because this is due to conservatism. And if it is due to conservatism, we can call it provision for doubtful debt because we should provide such losses. From provide provision come. From provide what came? Provision. But provision for depreciation maha bakwas name. Means once you become CA, we will never use the term provision for depreciation in our life. We should delete this name from our dictionary only. But ICA is using, therefore we are also using. Correct? Just write down a note for your purpose. This I call extra gyan. Extra gyan. Provision for depreciation is not decline in the value of asset. Depreciation is systematic allocation of what? Allocation of cost price of asset during its what? Useful life of asset due to which concept? Due to which concept? Matching concept. Provision for depreciation is therefore not a correct terminology, not a correct term. Instead of that, we should use what? We should use accumulated depreciation. Have you understood this particular para? In exam they will not ask this type of questions, because they also don't know. Correct? It's only an extra gyan. Because once you become CA, then this become relevant. A chartered accountant will never use what provision for depreciation. Correct? So we are CA student, we should know this fact now. We should know this fact. I hope you have understood everything. Then with this we can start what? AS 29. Correct? Let me revise whatever I have done, then I'll come to AS 29. Okay? One second. What we have done? Contingencies. We started with contingencies. So contingency meaning is given in AS4. However, now apart from provision for doubtful debt, all contingencies are covered in AS29. But the meaning of contingencies is given in AS4. So contingencies are condition or situation existing on balance sheet date, outcome of which is not known, which is dependent on happening or non-happening of uncertain future event. Correct. Now we have understood this outcome can be either favorable or unfavorable. Favorable means expected income. We do not recognize expected income and therefore it will not be recognized. These are known as contingent assets. Unfavorable means expected expenses. Now what AS4 says that if the outcome is probable, an amount can be estimated, we should provide such loss. Otherwise, it should be disclosed as a fact. We should disclose the fact in notes to account. Correct. Then we have understood is expected expenses may arise either from decline in the value of asset or because of increase in the value of liability. If it is due to increase in the value of liability, it means there is some obligation to pay in future. It means it is nothing but liability. It will give rise to liability. So because of that obligation, it may be either provision of contingent liability as per AS 29. So we need to understand what AS 29 says regarding this. Detailed discussion will be done in AS 29. But if it is decline the value of asset, so it will not give rise to any obligation to pay. Therefore, it is not a liability. It is mere adjustment to assets. Such loss are known as impairment loss. So that loss is covered in different accounting standards. For example, inventories AS2. For example, property, plant, and equipment and intangible asset AS28 coming soon in your life. And for example, debtor it is AS4 only, and investment it is AS13. Okay, we will discuss this all point in respective accounting standard. Automatically it will be covered. Automatically it will be covered. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. This much we have done. Now let us come to AS29. So AS29 deals with what? Provisions, contingent liabilities, and what? Contingent asset. One thing you have understood, हम बड़ी बातें कर रहे हैं. In our small class, we are doing big discussion. Correct? So our discussion level is very high, but it is easy once you have understood. Because for the first time we are doing discussion of that nature, it might trouble you initially, but if you understood, it is easy now. So have patience. Until you understand, you can stop me. You have a right to stop me. I will not go to other concepts. If you are not understanding, you will say me 100 times, I will be in that concept till you understand. But you need to respond that yes, you have not understood. Got it what I am saying? Yes, sir. Correct? Yes, sir. Come to chapter number 9, AS29. This chapter number 9 has been given by me. Correct? AS29 is the accounting standard number and the title is Provision, Contingent Liability and Contingent Asset. Contingent Asset. Correct? Write down contingent asset. Written. Gajab. So we'll start with provision, then we'll go to what? Contingent liability, and then we'll go to contingent asset. So what is the meaning of provision? Bata. Provisions are liability. Provisions are liability. Provisions are liability. But whether you know the amount, it means you need to estimate it, which can be measured only by using a substantial degree of estimation. Means any liability which require estimation, that become what? Provision. Otherwise it is a liability. Understood? One second. Provisions are liability. which can be measured, can be measured only by using a substantial degree of estimation. Substantial degree means what? Substantial means some approximate amount. How to measure we'll discuss in later classes, but which require estimation, which require estimation. Okay? Let me take some example. Suppose you have taken loan from bank, correct? Whether you know the amount, you don't know the amount. So whether estimation required, so it is a liability. It is not a provision. Provisions are liability, means all provisions are liability, but all liabilities are not provisions. So can I say bank loan is a liability, but it does not require estimation, therefore it is not a provision. For example, rent payable. Rent payable. Have you opened this account anytime? Rent payable. So rent payable is a liability, whether it requires estimation or you know the amount. You know the amount, it means it is a liability but not provision. Not provision. Simple meaning. Now let me take one example. Suppose some case is going against you. Some case is going against you. And your lawyer said that you may be defeated in that case. And you need to pay compensation of 2 lakh. The amount is payable or not. But it requires estimation or not, because lawyer does not know actual amount. You may need to, he's saying you may require to pay 2 lakh. It may be 3 lakh also. It may be 4 lakh also. It requires what? Estimation. So for that, for this obligation, you need to create what? Provision. So any obligation which requires estimation become what? Provision. So it is a liability, one thing we understood. Which require measurement we have understood. Correct? Which require measurement. So can provisions are liability of uncertain amount. Amount is not known. Can the provisions are liability of uncertain amount? Can I say this? The provisions are liability of uncertain amount. Amount is not known. And that amount require estimation. Correct? Which require measurement by substantial degree of estimation. So provisions are liability of which amount? Uncertain amount. Which require estimation? Which require estimation. And if you know the amount, it is not a provision, it is a simple liability. Correct? Got it. But can I say, now so we need to understand what is the meaning of liability. Because if I am saying provisions are liability, so of course you will ask me, so what is the meaning of liability? First define liability, because we don't know liability also. Am I right or not? So what is the meaning of liability? Liabilities are present obligation arising from past event. What they are saying? Liabilities are present obligation, means all obligations are not liability. Acha. Are you able to understand? Means they are only present obligation. Means all obligations are not liability. Am I right or not? Correct. He is asking example from me. Arey bhai, I will take. Acha. We started A for apple. You are asking sir B for Y भी बोल दो. Yeah. I will take many examples. Have patience. Just try to understand what I am saying. Liability means for present obligation arising from past event. First we need to understand all obligations are not liability. Means initially I have written here when I was explaining obligation, but obligation to pay, this obligation should be present obligation. Am I right or not? Correct. So liabilities means what? Present obligation arising from past event. Can you have understood arising from past event? Means any obligation which is arising from future event cannot be a liability. Means liabilities are obligation arising from past event. But which obligation? Present obligation. Present obligation means chances of occurrence is more than 50%. So present obligation means the chances of occurrence of future event is more than 50%. More than 50%. Means it is probable. It is probable. Are you able to understand? Means what they want to say? Present obligation means what? Present obligation means what? An obligation is a present obligation. An obligation is a present obligation. Means one thing is clear, all obligations are not present obligations. So all obligations are not liability. Correct. An obligation is a present obligation if it is considered probable. Probable. Probable means what? Chances are more than 50%. Have you done probability? Higher probability means what? More than 50%. Lower probability means less than 50%. So when I am saying probable, it means it is more than 50%. More than 50%. Correct. So what they are saying, an obligation is a present obligation if based on available evidence. Based on available evidence. Its existence on the balance sheet date is considered probable. Means based on all the available evidence on balance sheet date, it is considered probable. It is considered probable. Correct. Understood? Means, can I say in this way, if chances of occurrence are more than chances of non-occurrence, chances of occurrence are more than chances of non-occurrence. Chances of occurrence of what? Chances of occurrence of that future event is more than chances of non-occurrence of that future event. Chances of occurrence of rain is more than chances of non-occurrence of that rain. Understood? Correct. So if chances of occurrence are more than 50% of non-occurrence, it is considered as probable. It is considered as probable. Understood? I'll give many examples. First, let us understand meaning. Then example you will be able to understand. Correct. Abhi, I have not completed. Look there. Correct. Still I say any doubt, it means I have not explained fully. When I say any doubt, means now it is your turn to ask me doubt if you have not understood. Abhi to I have not completed only. Correct? Okay. 1 second. So let us come to definition of provision also. So provision means what? Liability of uncertain amount. Provisions are liability of uncertain amount which require substantial degree of estimation. Correct. Now liability means what? Present obligation arising from past event. Present obligation arising from past event. Past event you have understood. Now we are just defining present obligation. Present obligation are those obligations if based on all the available evidence on balance sheet date, it is considered probable. Probable means the chances of occurrence is more than chances of non-occurrence. If the chances of occurrence of loss is more than chances of non-occurrence of loss, it means it is probable. It means it is probable. Understood? Means just try to understand one case. Very baat now. I mean right now there is a 31st March. Balance sheet date. One of the customer has filed a case against you. Means case against entity. You means you are entity. And a high court case is pending. Understood? High court case is pending. So of course, when the case will be decided, you may need to pay some compensation. If the case is in favor of you, so there is no compensation payable. That you don't know right now. So can I say one thing is clear that there is some contingencies. There is some contingencies or not. Correct? Understood? The provisions are a liability of uncertain amount. Amount is uncertain because you don't know the amount of compensation right now. It may be 2 lakh, it may be 3 lakh, it may be 4 lakh, it may be nil also. If you win, it is nil also, no? That you don't know. Now we are understanding whether it is a liability. Now based on lawyer, means of course we will go to lawyer now. He is saying based on his statement, based on the evidence available with lawyer, he is saying that there is a high chances you will lose the case. Understood? You will means it will be against, the decision will be against the entity. Understand what I'm saying? So based on lawyer is an expert here, पर he is saying that there is high chances you will lose the case. बोले yes or no? So now can I say it become present obligation? It become present obligation? So बोलो, you are not able to understand I am saying. You are able to understand? Please concentrate करो, ठीक है? Concentrate. What I am saying? There is a high court case is pending. Please concentrate. I said we are doing बड़ी बड़ी बातें in छोटी छोटी classes. Understood? बड़ी बड़ी बातें in छोटी छोटी classes. Correct? But it is, if you have an intention to learn, you can understand anything. If you do not have intention to learn, you will not understand anything. Correct? What happened from foundation? Directly we are coming to this high discussion because of change in syllabus. Only for you, because what happened, your syllabus, there were many things which has not been taught to you, which has been transferred to what? Now foundation syllabus. So this is one batch in which we need to struggle thoda sa. Correct now. We need to as a teacher we need to struggle because directly we are teaching some high level points. Directly coming to accounting standard. Correct? So you also require patience, I also require patience, otherwise both will become patient. Understood? Correct? So are you with me? So I am also with you. थोड़ा सा patience रखो, ठीक? थोड़ा सा. Means you have never imagined in your life that this account teacher will teach like this. Am I right now? You came with an impression that journal entry will be done, ledger account will be done, then balance will be drawn. Am I right or not? Achanak say AS2, then AS29, then what AS he is going to teach? There are 29 accounting standards. I am going to kill you. Nothing more than that. Yes or no? Simple lah. Correct. But every student is going through this phase. You are not exceptions. Now I can also cut down the discussion. What will happen? You will not be able to answer MCQs. Because for MCQs you need to understand each and every point clearly. And question based on case study, you need to answer when you can answer only once you have understood the concept. Got it? You have understood with AS2. When I was doing AS2 inventory chapter, it was such a small chapter in CA foundation, but what discussion I have done in CA intern. I think with discussion that you have understood, but once I have done, you are able to solve all the questions. You are able to solve all the questions. Now, have patience. Correct? Once again. So what I am saying, provisions are what? Liability. Now we need to understand what is the meaning of liability. That only we are discussing. So liabilities are present obligation arising from past event. What is the meaning of present obligation? That I am discussing. So what they are saying, if the obligation is probable on balance sheet date, probable means chances are more than 50%, it is what present obligation, and only present obligation should be considered for liability. Means if it is not a present obligation, it is not a liability, it cannot be provision. Understood? So present obligation arising from past event. Present obligation arising from past event, which will be settled. If there is an obligation, this requires settlement. If it is an obligation, we need to pay such obligation. It requires settlement, na? It requires settlement. When? Today or future? Future. Therefore, debtor which will be settled. Will means future, na? Which will be settled through outflow of resource. There will be some outflow of resource. Outflow resource means either cash or any other asset. It can be paid in the form of any other asset. So this become what? A liability. This become a liability. Understood? Means for example, if I say debenture is a liability, it is not a liability. Debenture is a liability, it is not a liability. Liability, why? Because there is a present obligation arising from past event, because you have done contract with debenture holders. Already you have done contract with debenture holders ki after 5 years you will pay. So there is a present obligation arising from past event, because of that contractual agreement you have done that after 5 you will pay such amount. So there is a liability. If I say equity share capital, it is a liability, it is not a liability. Equity share capital is a liability, it is not a liability. Equity share capital, it is a liability, it is not a liability. It is not a liability because there is no obligation to pay any amount. In the event of liquidation also will pay if surplus fund is available, otherwise will never pay. The equity share capital, there is no contractual agreement to pay the amount. Yes or no? The equity share capital, there is no obligation, there is no present obligation, therefore it is not a liability. Correct? So the term is what? A key term is present obligation. Present obligation. I hope you have understood the definition of present obligation. The key word is what? It is considered probable. Probable means what? More likely than not. So they have given one key term. It is more likely than not. More likely than not means chances are more than not happening. Chances of happening is more than not happening. It is more likely than not. More likely than not. It is a key term, can be asked in MCQs. Understood? Have you understood? Miss, can I conclude with the entire discussion? See, for recognition of provision, there are three conditions. There are three conditions. First, there must be present obligation arising from past event. There must be present obligation arising from past event. Second, there must be outflow of resource. Outflow of resource. And can I say there must be some estimation. There must be some estimation. If these three conditions satisfied, we should recognize what? Provision. If any one condition is not satisfied, we should not recognize provision. This is a recognition condition for what? Provision. So what AS29 says, recognition of provision. Come to point number D. Point number D. What they are saying? A provision is to be recognized if all the following conditions are satisfied. Important. All the following conditions are satisfied. Correct. First one, there must be present obligation arising from past event. Correct. Understood. Present obligation means what? Means can I say occurrence is probable. Means occurrence is probable. Am I right? Correct. Arising from past event. Correct. Can I say outflow of resource which is required to settle the obligation is also probable. Means outflow is also probable. Means the chances of payment is also high. Outflow is also probable. So here outflow is probable. Probable once again more than 50%. So outflow must be also probable. Outflow must be also probable. Okay. And a reliable estimation can be made for the amount of obligation. A reliable approximate estimation can be made for the amount of obligation. If these three conditions satisfied, then we recognize provision. Otherwise, we will not recognize provision. So AS29 has given three conditions. If all these three conditions satisfied, we recognize provision. Understood? What are three conditions? Can you repeat with me? There must be present obligation arising from past event. Outflow resource which is required to settle the obligation is probable, and a reliable estimation can be made for the amount of obligations. Understood? Correct? Have you understood? Means in this example, just try to understand what example I was giving. If the High Court case was pending and the lawyer is saying that there is a 50% chance, more than 50% chance of loss. Correct? Understood? Correct? But whether first condition satisfied? Yes, first condition satisfied. Then second condition what? You will ask whether outflow is probable. If yes, it is satisfied. An estimation, so we can do anytime estimation. If question is silent, always will assume amount can be estimated. So all these three conditions satisfied, it means we recognize a provision. We recognize provision. Understood? Correct. Let me take one example. Try to understand this example. Okay. Understood? Suppose you have one office and you have many employees. Suppose 3 employees are there. Understood? And they are doing tax work, means tax compliance. Tax compliance means GST, etc. They will see. Understood what I'm saying? Now what happened? Suddenly GST Act changes. There is some amendment in what? GST Act. Understood? But can I say they are not aware about this amendment? It means they require training. They require training or not? They require training. And suppose training, if training will be conducted, so entity need to incur an expense of what, 1 lakh, because some technical person require, if he will come, he will give training, so it will be an expense of 1 lakh. Understood? Correct. Understood. Alternatively, can I say this employee can be replaced with trained employee also? Means then so no training is required. Means we can replace this employee with trained employee. We can hire some trained employee only directly. It's quite possible now. Yes or no? So what happens is the case. Case, have you understood? GST amendment is a past event or not? Past event. So there is a past event. Now the question is that should we create provision or should we not create provision? What do you think? Understood? Should we create a provision for training expense or we should not create provision for training expense? Case study, have you understood? Case study means this type of question can be asked in exam. Understood? ठीक है, धीरे धीरे अभी देखो, धीरे धीरे, even though you are giving wrong answer, I want 10 class. Once 10 class will be over, you will be habituated of this type of discussion. So I already said कि I want 10 class. After 10 class now you will be habituated of all this high level discussion. अभी अचानक से this type of high level discussion comes in your life and you are out of the class. What this teacher is teaching, we are expecting journal entry, but he is not teaching journal entry. Am I right or not? क्या करें बता, बोलो. So GST amendment came. There is a past event, and there is an obligation of this training expenses. Means there is we need to incur some training expense in future. Should we create a provision for training expense? Should we create a provision for training expense? Yes or no? बताओ. First condition, whether there is a present obligation arising from past event. Yes, first condition to satisfied. There is a present obligation arising from past event. First condition to note out. Any doubt? Second condition, whether outflow which is required to settle the obligation is probable. Huh? Whether outflow which is required to settle the obligation is probable. Bolo, yes or no? How many are saying yes? How many are saying no? How many are saying no? Why you are saying no? Yes, very good. Can I say we may opt for this replacement? Means outflow may not be probable. If we go for this replacement, right now we don't know whether we replace or we will go for training expenses. Right now that the obligation exists on balance sheet date, but in future we may decide to hire some trained employee, and if we hire trained employee, no training expense required. So should we create a provision for training? No, we should not create, because second condition is not satisfied, because outflow resource is not probable. So what AS 29 says, just try to understand this para. What AS 29 says, if obligation is dependent on future conduct of business, So here obligation is based on what? Future conduct of business. Whether they will go for this or they will go for this. It is based on future conduct of business. So we don't know right now what entity will decide. So if obligation is dependent on future conduct of business, no provision is required. Means if the obligation exists independently from future conduct of business, means whatever business do, obligation will arise. Obligation exists independently, correct na? Independently for future conduct with the future conduct of business, then we need to recognize provision, correct? So what is the key term? Future conduct of business. Means you need to just find out whether there is any future conduct of business, whether obligation is based on future conduct of business, then don't recognize provision. Understood? So what AS 29 says, if you read, only those obligations which exist independently from entity's future conduct of business should be recognized. Which exist independently from future conduct of business should be recognized. Correct. Means obligation which are dependent on future conduct of business should not be recognized as provision, because outflow of resource is not probable, because second condition is not satisfied. Means if you can avoid expenditure, then provision is not required. But if the future expenditure is unavoidable, then provision is required. Correct now? So it means, can I say future expenditure is unavoidable? So if future expenditure is unavoidable, then we need to recognize provision. Understood this point? बोलना रे. So future expenditure is unavoidable, which cannot be avoided. Let me get one more example. ठीक है ना? All are CA Inter exam example. Means I am not giving you some high level example. These all examples are CA Inter example only. Okay. Try to understand this. Suppose you purchase one aeroplane. You not. Suppose one company has purchased aeroplane. Correct. Air India now transferred to whom? Air India is purchased by whom? Tata na? Correct. Suppose Air India is a company. Air India purchased one aeroplane for commercial purpose, for commercial business. Correct. Now, there is one National Aviation Act. National Aviation Act. We say that after every 3 years, means once you purchase the aeroplane and you have started using the aeroplane for public transport, so after every 3 years, you need to do some major inspection of each part of aeroplane to avoid accidents. Because can I say one part is not okay, there can be accident and all the public will go where? Upar. So as per National Aviation Act, after 2 year or 3 year, correct now, it requires major inspection of all parts. Means we need to open all the parts, we should cross check all the parts, and then once again we need to assemble it. So it requires huge cost. So if you do major inspection of each part, so it is quite possible you need to incur an expenditure of 5 crore. Let's say you need to incur an expenditure of 5 crore. So as per Act, there is an obligation. So the first condition satisfied or not? Can you say once you purchase the aeroplane, so there is an legal obligation to incur some expenditure in future after 3 years? Because you are using that aeroplane for which purpose? For public transport purpose. Or present obligation arising from past event condition is satisfied. Batao. When the second condition satisfied, outflow is probable or not probable? Probable or not probable? Everyone saying probable? Anyone some other thought? Just try to understand. Management may decide after 3 years not to use this aeroplane. They can avoid this expenditure or not? Yes. They may decide to sell this aeroplane. If they decide to sell this aeroplane, first they will do major inspection, then they will sell. Means can I say this expenditure is avoidable or unavoidable? Avoidable. Therefore, outflow is not probable, and therefore no provisions is required. No provisions are required. So can I say in this 1 second, obligation is dependent on future conduct of business, future conduct of entity, and therefore provision is not required. Two example I have given. Two example I have given. Correct. One more example you want? One more example. For the first time you are listening this type of example, huh? Have patience. Dhire dhire you will be habituated of this. You will be habituated of this. Means you will think, acha, we to become CA only. Once you started thinking that yes, we become CA, you will be able to understand everything. But give me 10 days. Already I said, give me 10 days. Okay? Correct. Yeah. Now, let me take one example. Suppose there is one factory which is polluting the entire environment. Understood? Pollution हो रहा है. Correct? Now one notice came from the local government. Understood? Correct. That either change the production process or you need to fit smoke filters. Understood? You need to fit some smoke filters. Have you understood this point? If you will fit some smoke filters, this is future expenditure. If you will change the production process, so it might happen. If you are changing, then that pollution will not arise. Correct? Means you need to stop this production process and start new production process. Correct now? So that is the will not, whatever expenditure you are incurring, that is for production process, but not for the pollution. Means if you want to decrease the pollution level, you need to fit what? Smoke filter, and this require future expenditure. Future expenditure. Correct? Or better I will write down change mat likho. You will be confused. Either close down the factory. You have two options. Close down the factory or feed smoke filters. Understood? Now understood, it will give better clarity. The notice came from the local government that either you feed smoke filter or close down the factory. Batao. Provision is required or not required? Provision is required or not required? Huh? Now, provision, this is future expense. For closing down the factory, what is the provision required right now? For pollution, I am saying, if you will close down the factory, so what expenses you are incurring? You need to only lock and key na. So any expenditure you are incurring. So can I say you can avoid this future expenditure by closing down the factory or not? You may decide to close down the factory. It might happen this smoke filter require expenditure of 2 crore. You don't have 2 crore right now. So you may decide to what? Close down the factory right now, but the outflow is probable or not probable? Outflow is not probable. Means this future expenditure is once again avoidable, unavoidable, avoidable. Therefore, no provision is required. Therefore, no provision is required. 3 examples I have given for only one particular para. Only for one particular para. Means this para is very important. This para is very important from examination point of view. बोलो, this para is very important from examination point of view. अच्छा, time चला गया. No understood. Why you are observing me? चलो ठीक है, कभी कभी होता है. Have you understood this much? Have you understood this much? Yes, sir. Correct. So I think this much you have understood. We'll once again take this concept tomorrow. Understood? Correct. Revise entire thing once again. Yes, to revise, then revise this much, then come into the class. Correct. If you come without revision, so once again I need to revise from the beginning. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Enjoy your remaining day.